Hello, Steve here. Welcome to Real Health. Who'd have thought health is about what we're eating? Join me on my quest to disseminate my go-to health regimen, the Health 44, my clumsy branding of eliminating 4 classes of food, introducing 4 classes of micronutrients. Bingo, bongo, health sorted. So thank you for your interest. Let's do this. Welcome again. You clicked on today's episode, which is something to do with anxiety and agitation. A new take on anxiety and agitation and how we get through life. And what spurred this on? I thought about this particular idea. And then, you know when you think of an idea and then someone articulates an idea, and you think, what? And Dr. Huberman had this clip that came across. You know how it is. Things come across your social media, which you usually click on, with the whole health thing that I'm on, and he came on, and the whole idea of animals foraging is that they have this internal sense of agitation, and they forage to see what's happening. What's happening? Am I thirsty? Am I hungry? You lick that, you eat that. That's no good. You eat that for about half an hour. That's a bit better. I'll keep on eating for another 2 hours. Right. I have to graze. If you're a deer or a whatever, right? So that was quite interesting for him to bring that up, which related to my whole idea that it's going to be very hard to articulate this because I haven't thought about it or prepared in how to articulate it, like if it was an essay or something. But by feeling your way through what I'm trying to say here about this topic, it's a good indication. It gives people a sense of how people come towards an idea, and it will give me a good revelation in how convicted I am in this idea that agitation and anxiety. Now this is going to go, what? This is going to think, what the hell is he on? Idea. So agitation and anxiety is a behavior, a sense, a sensation that your body needs sustenance. But I'm not hungry, I'm just anxious. I know what's going to blurt out at people yelling at the screen and all that sort of thing. I know what will come. But basically, as adults, we're toddlers with a license, even though we think that we know things, because things are said and we know, and therefore it happens, and where it may not happen, causation doesn't mean that doesn't go. Causation doesn't mean correlation, all that sort of thing. Okay, so where I'm trying to get at is now this is where I try and unpack and then repack. Okay, so a child, a newborn and toddler, they're crying for their needs, which I just heard a bit of a cry just then. And a cry is like a week-old deer foraging. What do they need? It's a deer foraging is like a baby crying. Something needs to be done. Diaper change, need a feed, that sort of thing. I'm just going to quickly see what's happening. There's a bit of commotion there. So I'll be back in a moment. And the commotion ended up being a nothing burger. So the anxiety and agitation, I'll get to the point where we experience the whole agitation and anxiety as adults, because as a older child, adolescent and adult, we start to understand that usually it eventuates into eating, drug taking, smoking, drinking. And that's where the animal kingdom, they don't know about drugs, smoking, drinking, so they forage. It's an ongoing agitation with anxiety. How am I going to meet this discomfort? We articulate through our verbals that we know that we're hungry, we have these cravings, we have these. I'm just going to turn off this aircon while I keep on talking. We hopefully that still is transmitting. We also have the sensations, but because we anthropomorphize our sensations of the whole foraging thing, and we're hungry. How about some Thai tonight? How about we work off the junk food that we just ate? Let's go for a run. Let's go to the gym. Let's do some cardio. To the food guilt that comes in, and anxiety. When people are referencing the anxiety of social anxiety and fear of crowds and all that sort of thing, even to that level, the anxiety of past traumas and abuses, albeit although unpleasant memories of the person that experienced those abuses and mistreatment as part of their, there's the whole idea of when you reminisce, when you about past traumas, what is it? Anyway, it will come to me. So post-traumatic disorder, or along those sort of lines, okay? We have flashbacks for those that have suffered certain discomforts in the past. All those sensations, I believe, this is a bit more humble versus my non-humble convictions, but it is a hypothesis more than a notion, and I believe that it could evolve into a theory that all our sensation seeking for the risk takers, the histrionic people, the drug taking, the obese people, the drinkers and the smokers, and the ones that end up getting psychiatric and psychology assistance with their anxiety and agitation, even pharmaceuticals. A lot of it, I'm not saying all, what proportion should we say? Greater than 80%, I'd say 90-95%. If we were satiated with all the micronutrients that we require each day and for the rest of our life, the incidence of the agitation and the anxiety would be lessened to a point where we don't have overt anxiety and agitation. And the idea in this time, this world of comparatively comparing history, where we have the least to worry about, we find a way to be anxious, panicky, anxious, and having flashbacks from traumas. The whole historic existence of humanity has been about being on our toes, we have comparatively the easiest time throughout history. And I believe some of our anxieties and agitation is micronutrient deficiency issues, which relates to mental health disorders, the personality traits that people would like to put in there somewhere, psychiatric conditions, some of the lighter psychiatric conditions, the general anxiety diagnoses that make up far more than half of all mental health care complex, I believe, fits also in the whole micronutrients deficiency idea, theory, maybe even an axiom. Okay, if we were satiated with all those 90 declared essential micronutrients, and I have my own being to judge from in my 4 years of doing this whole Health 44, which I advocate here, which I'll mention in a moment. I need to mention it because I only get 2.2 viewers and listeners watching this. So and many are just one-off people thinking, you know, what the heck is this guy on about? And this is one of those times I suspect. Just entertain my thoughts, please. Keep on going. I myself, I've mentioned many a time throughout my whole podcast series, which has the whole corpus, although a few recently have been wiped and not accepted to be published. So YouTube has the ones that have been canned from podcasts. So yeah, that's just a quick thought for those that do follow and think, what the heck is this guy on about? So my own self, where I reference a lot of the physical stuff, where I was obese, the whole metabolic syndrome complex with osteo issues, carpal tunnel, frozen shoulder, the whole 9 yards with different things were starting to come in with approaching a decade of taking PPIs, the whole heartburn complex. I was going downhill fast, and I was looking at dying at the sort of age of about 63, the way I was going. And it wasn't looking great. And as part of the whole physical thing that I reference often, how I've got out of all those chronic issues was mental health type issues, anxiety, nihilism in a way as well, and just this whole grief thing that I can't get out of this mess until I stumbled on to what I'm advocating for. And because this probably fits in into how I got out of my mess, I got out of my mess for what I'm advocating for here, the whole Health 44. The first for the 44, elimination of 95% of the supermarket, perhaps. Glutens, oils, sugars, nitrates, nitrites. Those 4 categories of food out, eliminated. And if you're going to miss those cakes and biscuits and takeout and pizza and all that, you bring in the second for the 44, those 90 declared essential micronutrients, those 4 classes of micronutrients. There's 60 of those 90 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 essential fatty acids. In a short time, you won't crave those bad foods anymore. The bread, the pasta, in the oils, the fried food, burnt animal fat, and well done meats, which carnivore people, if you go over medium rare in your carnivore, you're not out of your hole. And with the sugars complex, the normal sucrose and the fructose limiting, I've pretty much eliminated fruit out of my diet. And the nitrates, nitrites part is your processed meat's pretty much the new mega carcinogen in town. Worse than sitting is the new smoking and all itself and all that. That's going to be an episode at some point where smoking isn't a number one concern in health, because there's more 80-year-old smokers versus 50-year-old emphysema sufferers. Hey, anyway, so to get back on track with the whole agitation and anxiety, there it is. There it is. If we were satiated with the micronutrients that we require, it's not just taking it. It's not just supplementing, buying longevity, for example, my supplier of the micronutrients, they get it. There's others, but it's a bit more messy. The mental health issues, you'll be starting with a clean slate, and if the mental health issues still continue, then yes, past trauma might be an issue. Genetics, no. Often in this podcast series, no genetics has been a transmitter of disease. This whole gene therapy thing that we're on, gene expression this and gene therapy for that, and then these 4 genes for Alzheimer's and all that sort of thing. Niente. No, it's not going to have any efficacy. As soon as some of the people that are looking at the ApoE and all, I don't know, those whole 4 main genes, if you have any of those 4, a combination of those 4, that's it, you're done. And then in the same breath or the next breath, there's 100-year-olds that have got 2 of those genes and they're still fine. That's it. That theory is not a theory anymore. It's just an idea. It's not even a notion. Certainly not a hypothesis. Stuff that. When I heard that, and they, there's 100-year-olds with 2 of those genes and they don't have Alzheimer's, but be careful if you have those 2, any combination of those 4 particular genes, you'll get Alzheimer's. Well, the 100-year-olds don't have it, so what are you talking about? I think Peter Attia is a main proponent, one of the proponents of that idea with the genes equals Alzheimer's, and they even got Chris Hemsworth all worried about it. The only way that Chris Hemsworth has to worry is all these working out, weightlifting and exercise type thing with all that extra sweat, and if he doesn't supplement enough, he will get Alzheimer's. And you shouldn't blame the genes that he's got for Alzheimer's markers. It's the extra sweat, and he's not supplementing enough, and he's not taking in enough saturated fat and cholesterol, and that's why he'll probably get Alzheimer's. Particularly the people that take statin drugs. So I'm not sure how clear the unpacking was. How am I going to repack it? Did I even unpack it? How's my and there's the concept, which I'm not testing. It's more of a hypothesis, and I hope it's going to be a theory, that if we're satiated, bring in the whole Health 44 regimen, the whole anxiety and agitation complex will be greatly reduced. We have these correlations since the 80s, these seed oils, and therefore we have more obesity, and we had no obese people in the 70s. I was bloody obese. I was obese in the 70s as a child. We had obese people starting in the 1930s. We had obese people even in the Middle Ages, but look, it is from overeating, but the whole overeating happens because of micronutrients. We're foraging. When we go to McDonald's and get a pizza, or get a pizza at Macca's. You get ice cream and you get biscuits from the supermarket and that sort of thing. That's all foraging. We're starving for micronutrients, and our body just forages, just like the agitation of a fawn. Let's go and forage. Have some grass. Nah, no, I don't know. Water. That's what I needed. Water. Foraging. And a baby forages with their cry. We check hunger. It's not hunger time. Meal time changed to. Oh, you just wanted to walk around, because babies have preferences too. They have a right to preferences. And if it's something else, well, yeah, they're lacking micronutrients. And let's face it, mothers do lack micronutrients. I've got no issues with my 1-year-old now. He's had some eczema, and that's pretty much sorted. And coming from geriatric parents, no issues. You'd expect some issues. No issues here, because we supplement. It's not just the supplementing. You need to digest it. Then you need to absorb the micronutrients and then get dependable daily supply. It's not just taking a bit of extra magnesium, potassium, calcium. I can feel a poem coming on. You need the whole 90 essential micronutrients to cut down, start with a clean slate. And it doesn't take a month or 3. If you're 30, 40 and beyond, you might have to endure 12 months, 18 months before you get to a healing point. And depending on your physical condition or chronic disease or condition that you have, you might need to up the ante with your micronutrient deficiencies and supplement more. We don't know what we're lacking in. The best way, blood work, yes, you can get indications with blood work, but hair analysis is the better way. I haven't actually done that because it costs a bit. I could send it off overseas, but I know that I'm satiated now with the micronutrients, and I am now less anxious, less agitated about life things. I'm not worried about finances, even though there's nothing there, because there's no real customers coming on to my offerings. I don't care. I'll still produce this. But here's the new idea in town to attend to the agitation and anxiety that the populace is suffering from and getting worse. Just like getting worse with the obesity that I started to talk about before, and the chronic diseases. People then talk about mental impairments, psychiatric conditions, mental health issues. Epidemic is starting because of, we're blaming the seed oils. It's not just the seed oils. It's not toxins. It's not, well, it can be a combination of all that, but the whole 95%er is what's correlating with all that. Together, the correlation of the things that go into your arm, the extra ultra processed foods, the seed oils, the toxins. What's correlating with all that coming in is even less micronutrients, and that is the kicker. That is where the kicker is. So just because there's firemen at a fire, they didn't start the fire. Behind the scenes, the micronutrients are coexisting. The lack of micronutrients are coexisting with all those other factors that we'd like to include in what is part of our ills. So I think I've repacked. So basically, do the Health 44 to not attend to your physical conditions, but also the mental conditions, and especially the anxiety and agitation. And if you're diagnosed with general anxiety disorder and depression and all that sort of thing, here's my prescription as a scattergun approach. The Health 44, but in particular, you need to increase your cholesterol intake, get off statin drugs now. You're not going to have withdrawal symptoms on getting off your statins. Eggs as a high cholesterol a high cholesterol intake food, also all the other micronutrients as part of that, and so saturated fat, which is also coexisting with protein intake. Okay, I'd advocate for at least 4 eggs a day. If you're a bit heavier, 6 eggs plus. Soft boiled, soft scrambled, soft poached. Okay, our preparation of food has a lot to do with bioavailability of the cholesterol, of the micronutrients being digested. And we need to increase our salt intake to then digest our food. Eliminate the glutens to then absorb our food. Take in those 90 declared essential micronutrients. They're essential, they're declared essential because our body can't make them. Some will say, well, vitamin D is from the sun. Well, you need the cofactors, and you need still some D2 and as part of D3 as well to make it all work. All the cofactors that go into it. Don't eat or drink before, during, or after meals. Well, half an hour before meals and 90 minutes post meals. That's when you can drink, when it's safer. Your gastric juices need to be acidic to digest, to break down the micronutrients, and then to absorb it later down the track when all the contents starts to go through the villi in the small intestine. That's 90+% of our absorption. Depending on your age and condition and the severity of your micronutrient deficiencies, a month, 6 months, 18 months is not a uniform improvement for people. If you're suffering for 4 or 5 decades, you'll be the 18-monther perhaps. And perhaps you need to take a lot more micronutrients once your villi starts to recuperate and then absorb more, and you won't know yourself. I didn't know myself after a few short months. I was on top of the world, and I'm trying to get this thing out for the rest of the world to stop suffering. Because if we don't get the micronutrients, we will continue to suffer, I'm telling you. And we're going to blame the toxins and the seed oils, the ultra-processed foods, our lifestyle, lack of activity, and beyond. And let's not forget the genes. It's all your fault. It's all in your genes. No, it's not in your genes. The only thing that's in your genes is your susceptibility to not taking in a certain amount of micronutrients in certain combinations, giving you the conditions that look like that they are familial. It looks like that the fire was started by those firemen. Grrr. So there you go. The moral of all that unpacking and repacking, which was, I feel like it was clumsily done, but the intent was there. Anxiety, agitation, depression. Start with that clean slate. Get satiated with these micronutrients and wait for the improvement in your life, in your spirit and happiness to just start with a clean slate and just happen like it did with me. That's all for now. Take it or leave it. Let's compare notes in how bad our anxiety, depression, agitation gets in decades to come. Let's see. But there you go. I tried my best. I'm not the best at articulating the ideas, but there you go. There was the attempt. Bye bye for now.